Welcome back to Life in Review. I'm Josefa Salinas, your host. Well, it's definitely a passion of people in Los Angeles. We love sports, baseball, basketball, football. Finally, we got a lot of teams, and it's so much fun because you can just pick on any given day what you're going to do. But in summer fun, what are we usually talking about? Baseball. Now, it's a little bit delayed this year, but it's definitely back. And there's a book you are going to want to have. I'm telling you, this is a great gift to give any guy. But ladies, let me tell you, I enjoyed reading this. And I'm not a huge baseball fan. I prefer football myself. But I loved reading this book because I tell you what, now I feel really confident that wherever I go around anybody, I've got some fun facts about baseball that I'll bet other people won't have, or at least I'll sound like I know what I'm talking about. What book am I talking about? It's called Who Got Game? Baseball, Amazing But True Stories. Derrick Barnes is a Newbery Honor winner who put this together, and he's with us this morning. Hey, Derrick, how are you doing?
I am doing excellent. How are you? My wife is from the San Bernardino area, and I just told her that I was on with you guys, and she just lost her mind. So just happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, that is so great. I tell you, I've been in California for quite a few years, but grew up in Michigan. So the Detroit Tigers
Okay.
were, the team that we all cheered for when we were in Michigan. Everybody was a
Mhm.
Tiger fan. But this book is
Mhm.
amazing, amazing, amazing. And I'm going to start out by asking you, number one, why did you put this together and where'd you get all these facts?
Well, listening to you, we have pretty much the same similar background and interests. I'm pretty much a big sports fan, but I'm a huge football fan. I'm originally from Kansas City, Missouri, so I'm a Royals fan, and obviously a Kansas City Chiefs fan. But I am famous for working on primarily fiction. So we talk about middle grade novels, chapter books, picture books, and I shopped a historical sports fiction series to this publisher, Agate Publishing, and they were not interested in that series, but they liked my writing style. So they asked me if I was interested in doing a nonfiction series, which is something I had never done before. But I love collecting information. I'm a huge history nerd, and so I took on the challenge. And man, I have so much baseball information in my head than I had more than a year ago than I thought I would ever have. I ended up writing like 75 essays and whittled it down to 45, and then I divided the book up into 4 chapters. And the first chapter was pivotal players, where I talk about some of the unheralded stars in this sport. Second chapter is sensational stories, where I just talk about some of the most famous and jaw-dropping stories that kids may not know. The third chapter is radical records. Baseball, if nothing else, is about numbers and about stats. And the fourth chapter is called Colossal Comebacks, because who doesn't love a good comeback story? So
Right.
this book has been a lot of fun to write. Yeah.
Oh, and it's amazing. So I'm going to start out with the first thing that I knew nothing about, and there's probably a bunch of guys that'll roll their eyes in the audience. Like, I can't believe she didn't know that. But I never knew what a five-tool player was. So I know there's probably some guys out there that don't know. They'll just say, "Oh yeah, I know what that is." But
Of
do
course,
tell me.
I didn't know before I did my research on this book. So
So what is a
yeah,
five-tool player?
a 5-2 player is pretty much somebody that can do everything. I mean, they can do everything. You got pitchers that can obviously just pitch, but a 5-2 player is a guy that you can put out there to. That means he's a good fielder. That means he's a good hitter. That means he can throw well. That means he can hit well. That means he's fast. So there are 5 grading areas that they grade baseball players by, and probably the greatest 5-2 player of all time is San Francisco Giant, Willie Mays, and he could do everything: run, field, throw, hit. He was just an ultimate complete player.
Yeah, that's amazing. And he's the
Hmm.
best example for somebody who is a base runner, fielding, throwing, hitting for average, and a power
Hmm.
hitter. Now, another thing that really
Hmm.
made me smile, ladies, you got to listen to this one. There's a woman who was an incredible pitcher, and she
Hmm.
actually she was the a minor league pitcher, Jackie Mitchell, Her team, the Chattanooga Lookouts, played an exhibition game against the New York Yankees. And tell me who
Hmm.
she struck out. People won't believe who she struck out.
She struck out probably two of the greatest, not only Yankees of all time, but two of the greatest hitters of all time, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, back to back. She had struck these guys out back to back. During that time, major league teams during spring training, they would play barnstorming teams, or they would play popular minor league teams, and so they played the Tennessee Lookouts, and she was such a phenom because she was only 17, but she could toss that heat. She had a heck of an arm on her. So on April 2nd, 1931, the game was supposed to be played on April 1st, which leads a lot of baseball historians to believe that this was a hoax, that it was something that they just contrived just to entertain the fans. But man, all the way until her death, she lived to be 73. She still by the fact that she struck these two guys out, and neither one of them ever disputed it. So maybe she did. I wish that there was video footage of that game. It would have been fun to see.
Oh, that would have been awesome to see. When you're talking about women playing baseball, there was a time when a lot of men were sent off to war. And if anybody's ever seen, let's see, it was the movie with Madonna was in it, Gina Davis was in it. It's about the
Mm-hmm.
Women's Baseball League. And talk to me
Yeah.
about that, because that's a movie that's out, but I mean, it was out a while ago, but it actually
Mhm.
happened. There was the Women's Baseball League.
Yeah. There was a women's baseball league that started in 1943. Because in World War II, obviously there was a shortage of players. A lot of players went off to war, but things were so bad. One of the things that I want to try to focus on in all three of these books is the history of these sports were not so kind to women or people of color. Because even when they had a shortage of players, they still didn't want black players or women players to play Major League Baseball, which is crazy. So they scoured the minor leagues and just got a lot of minor league players to move up to play major league. So women were like, we're just gonna start our own league, and it was the All American Girls Professional Baseball League. And one of the stars from that era was a young lady named Liz Murphy. She was actually the first woman to play on a major league team. She was a Renaissance woman. She spoke fluent French, was a great chef. She played violin. She also had a strong throwing arm as well. So she made her debut in 1930. She played on the National League All-Star team.
Jeez. And the movie, just in case you're
Hmm.
interested in seeing the movie to learn a little bit more, I mean, I'm sure it's a bit of it is fictional, but a lot of it is very much representing what happened during this women's baseball league. And it's called A League of Their Own. And Gina Davis is in
Hmm.
it, Madonna's in it. I mean, all kinds of women are in this movie. And Tom Hanks is actually the
Yeah.
the drunk manager who actually gets
Uh-huh.
serious about coaching these women who can actually play ball, and how it grew and how
Hmm.
people came to support it. There's also another
Yeah.
league that it really should be taught in history books more, and we're talking about the Negro Baseball League. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I make sure I open up the book with the father of the Negro Leagues, and his name was Rube Foster. And Rube Foster was he was an excellent pitcher, first of all, but he was also a great organizer, and he was a great businessman. And because they were not allowed to play Major League Baseball, they there were a lot of barnstorming black and Latinx teams, which means that they just gathered up a group of men and they traveled across the country and played other baseball teams. But Rube, in 1920, in my hometown, actually at a YMCA, he gathered nine other black-owned team owners, and they formed, which is the first Negro League. There were seven incarnations, so it's not like there was just one Negro League, but there were like seven incarnations. But this was the first one. It was called the Negro National League, and it was founded by Brother Rube Foster, and it
Wow.
lasted until 1931. Hmm.
And when we're talking about players and some of the big things that they've done, Only 32 men in Major League Baseball history belong to the club of iconic ballers with 3,000 hits. Guys like Hank Aaron, Cal Ripken Jr., Pete Rose, Eddie Murray, Stan Musial, Lou Brock, and Roberto Clemente. Talk to me about that Pittsburgh Pirate.
Roberto Clemente is he was special to me when I knew his name, but I didn't really know his story. But what fascinated me the most about him was obviously he was the first major Latin star in baseball, but he was such a philanthropist, and he was such a good guy off of the field. You know, that was probably bigger than his baseball acumen, and he was also another 5'2" player, but. He joined the crew of not that many players that hit 3,000 hits. What's most fascinating about him is his 3,000th hit was his last regular season hit, and that was in 1972 in September. In December of 1972, he was delivering supplies to the people of Nicaragua. They had just had a earthquake, and his plane went down and crashed in the Atlantic Ocean. And he was just 38 years old, and they never found his body. And he was inducted into the Hall of Fame a year later, March 20th, 1973. So it's a fascinating, individual.
Yeah, and these are the kinds of stories that you're going to find in this book, Who Got Game, Baseball, Amazing but True Stories. I'm telling you, the kids would love reading this book. Adults will love, men, women, it doesn't matter. It's the perfect time to get this book because baseball is gearing up. We might not be able to go to the stadium to see the games, but I bet you we'll be able to watch it on TV and enjoy that baseball together in our own homes. And talk to me about the longest game, because there's actually a game, it was in 1981, I think it was, where it was the longest game ever. Tell me about that one.
33 innings.
Oh,
geez. Can you imagine?
No. I would have gone home.
Innings. And it was so cold out there. There's 1,700 people that showed up. It was so cold that they started bonfires. They were burning wood of bats and of bench seats. They created this game lasted for eight and a half hours, and it was over with at 4:00 in the morning. The only reason the game ended is because someone called the president of that league, and he said shut it down. And it's crazy. They ended up breaking like 13 records that game of the most pitches, the most at bats, the most plate appearances by one umpire, the most innings. Like I said, 33 innings. So the people that ended up staying the whole game, they got lifetime passes to that stadium. So
wow. Yeah, but see, I wouldn't have got the lifetime pass because I'm afraid I would have left.
Would have left, man. About 9 o'clock.
Right. Okay. Derrick Barnes, give us some social media where people can find out more about you and the amazing books you write.
Yes. And you can pick up these books obviously at BarnesandNoble.com and Amazon, but also at any of your local independent small bookstores. You can find me at Author Derrick D. Barnes on Instagram. You can find me at Author_DDB at Twitter. And my website is DerrickDBarnes.com.
Give me that Instagram one more time.
You guys can find out about my new project. Which one?
Give me your Instagram one more time.
Oh, okay. It's Author Derrick D. Barnes.
All right.
Author Derrick D. Barnes.
All right. Well, I will make sure to follow you because you are a fascinating writer. I love the way you write, and I look forward to seeing everything that you got coming up. Continued success to you.
Thank you. Much love. Thank you for having me.
Have a beautiful day.
You too.
What a great morning full of information we have had. I'm Josefa Salinas. It's time for me to get out of here and let you handle your Sunday. I can't wait to see you again right here as we explore life as it comes with all of its ups and downs and ins and outs and arounds, with the knowledge, the entertainment, the things we have to complain about, the things we need to protest about, the things we need to celebrate. All of it. We do it all right here. Until we get together again, stay strong, stay focused, most of all, stay informed. I'll catch you next time right here. Have a beautiful week. Be safe. Be kind to one another, please. I know we're all going through a lot, but smiles are free And so is that little just nod when you walk by somebody you don't know, acknowledging them, even though we're all behind masks. It's just the way we got to do it for now. Take care.